my name is Rhianna and I enjoy going to different cities and doing some bookstore tours of those cities that I visit. And I've done a video before on Berlin, and I did a bookstore tour of Berlin. I did another one in Canterbury, and recently I went to York and I visited some bookstores in York, and so that's what this video is. So firstly, what is York? York is a city in the north of the UK. It looks quite far from London, but it actually only takes 2 hours to get there from London by train. And York is known for its large cathedral and the Shambles, which is a medieval shopping street, and I believe the inspiration for Diagon Alley, or I don't know if it just kind of looks a bit like Diagon Alley, and you know, the people who have businesses there went with that and used it as a marketing technique. And York is also known for its railway museum, which we also visited. Lots of trains. And York has a lot of old architecture. It feels quite whimsical and a bit like you're stepping into a sort of medieval fantasy-like town in certain places. And the bookstores in the city were also very nice. So the first bookstore we visited was, of course, Waterstones. Waterstones is the biggest bookstore chain in the UK, and I lived abroad for 3 years, and there are good bookstore chains abroad. In Warsaw there is Empik, and in Berlin there is Thalia, but I have to say Waterstones, it's got to be my favourite bookstore chain. And I do love an independent bookstore, and I think those really need to be protected, and where you can, I think it's best to buy from an independent bookstore. But there is something just very comforting about walking into a Waterstones. The books are arranged really nicely. I love the tables that they have. It really makes me think about books that I want to read, and yeah. I also love the little trinkets they have in Waterstones, like the little bookmarks and little flasks with maybe Charles Dickens books on it. And you know, if money was no object, I would certainly buy a lot of those little trinkets and things in Waterstones. The next bookstore we visited was called Criminally Good Books, and this bookstore was dedicated to all things crime fiction. Not all things crime. All things crime fiction. So they had a lot of Agatha Christie books. I guess they probably had all of the Agatha Christie books. They also had a blind date with a book. I love a blind date with a book. It's like giving yourself a present, and it's so much fun opening it and seeing what the book is. But I have also had a few experiences where I've got a blind date with a book and the book has had really bad reviews on Goodreads, or I read the book before. So it's something that is a bit trepidatious. It's not trepidatious. It's something that's a bit, I don't know, it's been a long day. We also visited a bookstore called Travelling Man, which Google said was a bookstore. It is a bookstore, but it's a comic and manga bookstore. Still a bookstore. But I suppose the bookish medium of comic book and manga isn't something that I delve into very much, so I kind of was a bit lost while I was walking around the store, because I really know very little about comics and mangas, but it was quite fun browsing the shelves. And the fourth bookstore we visited was Oxfam. Oxfam is a charity store in the UK, and they predominantly sell books, and they often have a really good selection of books for reasonable prices, and it can be a fun place to search for books, because sometimes you find a really great book that you've been wanting and you can get it, you know, for a cheaper price, and you're helping charity. Maybe it doesn't help authors that much, but you know. Then the final bookstore we visited was my favourite bookstore of the tour, and it was called what was it called? It was called the Minster Gate Bookshop, because it was right by York Minster, which is the name of the big cathedral. And it was really interestingly designed, because you walk in and it looked like it's a tiny little bookstore, but then you go down this corridor and you realise you can go down and you can go up, and we went down first and there were loads of books, and then we went up and it just kept going up and up, and there were loads of different rooms with books. So it was actually a really large bookstore, but when you walk in initially it looks quite small. They also had a lot of books stacked up, and because of the narrow corridors, I don't know, there was just a very almost fantastical vibe to the bookstore. So that leads me to now this very small book haul. It's a very small book haul because I bought one book on the bookstore tour, and that book is This Is How You Lose the Time More by Max Gladstone. As I said, I bought this from the Minster bookstore. Was that the name of it? Minster Gate bookstore. And I saw this and was immediately like, that I have to buy that, because I've been wanting to read this for ages and I just haven't. And so I got it. And the reason that I've been wanting to read this book is because it has two different authors. So it says Max Gladstone on the front, but it was also written by Alma El-Motar. So the reason it has two authors is because it's a love story, and so I believe that one person who is part of this romance is written by one of the authors, and the other person in the relationship is written by the other author. I think that's such a cool way to write, because you have to write based on what the other person has written, and I think, yeah, I haven't read anything like that before. Okay, so that's my bookstore tour of York. Thank you very much for watching this video. Yeah, it's really nice to make these videos, and so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye bye.